Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London, and today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from Cambridge University Press, and it's linked with a group in America. That's the American Society of Comparative Law, and it's that comparative law series that it's published by. CUP have come up with a good book here. It's called Comparing Law. It's got a long subtitle, Comparative Law as Reconstruction of Collective Commitments, and it's been written by Professor Catherine Valcke. I hope I pronounced the name correctly. As I've said, it's an interesting book. Elizabeth was the lead writer on this review. We've given for our title of the book this, from Cambridge University Press, A New Perspective on Comparative Law. And certainly it's an important book in its own right, we think, because this is an area that is developing as the 21st century unfolds, because there's a lot of important information as we become much more global, a lot of information that we need to look at. This book is not the easiest book in the world to read. It's a paperback. Let's have a look at it first of all. It's a complex book, and you need to have some information about it. There's some basic information before you read it. There is the front, there is the spine, and then there is the back. And you can see that Professor Valcke is a professor at the Faculty of Law at the University of Toronto, which I have been to. It's a beautiful university. Now, this is the index at the back. It's by page numbering. It's a short index. It's a small book, paperback, 230 pages. Not a big index, but an interesting point of view. I think from both an academic and a jurisprudential point of view, I think people will find this quite interesting. Now, that's basically the blurb about the book there. And then you've got this is the American organisation that is covering this, the ASCL, the American Society of Comparative Law. It studies, and then it gives you the editors listed there, and this gives you the board. So a lot of people have been involved in this book from a whole range of different universities. There is the actual front page. You get into the book itself. That's the blurb, and then that is, because it's coming from Canada, that is in French. So therefore the dedication is very nice, and I like to just show that. A lot of work goes into these books. A lot of people are involved, so it's nice to get a mention. Now, here is the contents, and you can see there's quite a large amount. There are a total number of 5 pages, then with each one, 5 chapters rather, and with each one there is a conclusion. And then there's an epilogue right at the end. Then there's some acknowledgements. And then after that you get into the prologue, the malaise of comparative law is what it starts off with. You then, from there's a lot of footnoting. You can see there, a lot of, in fact, even more footnoting, which is a bit of a problem sometimes, because the basis of a lot of books, I would advise, is that you just read the main text and ignore the footnotes. We then get into chapter 1, which is on law. Then if we go to the back of the book, what we've got at the back is an epilogue. And there's the epilogue. Now, the epilogue is entitled The Academic Discipline of Comparative Law. And as I say, this book is not, I didn't find it the easiest book in the world to read. But when I got into it, I certainly found it was very interesting, and so did Elizabeth. So what do we say about the book? This book certainly excels as a penetrating analysis of current issues and developments in comparative law. And as a full professor of law at the University of Toronto, that's in Canada, its author, Catherine Valcke, has sought to establish comparative law quite convincingly, we think, as it happens, as a separate and distinct area of study worthy of a much more intensified academic scrutiny than that which has been generally accepted in many academic circles. And it seems that the professor has cast an extremely critical eye on certain dismissive attitudes towards comparative law on the part of a number of its detractors. Many of them in North America, presumably. Mind you, it's quite a good area for a bit of controversy. You can get a thesis out of it and a lot more besides, because that is part and parcel of stoking the debate. And obviously the detractors, one might infer, have apparently tended to view the subject with a certain degree of disdain. But I think comparative law, like every aspect of any legal system, has its own place, especially when we're trying to build bridges, and we are very much more of a global community today. Now, Professor Valcke has emphasised to the contrary of this view that comparative law should ideally be regarded as, quote, one might say, a standalone legal discipline in its own right, distinct, she says, from legal history, legal philosophy, that's including jurisprudence of course, legal sociology, and so on. Interestingly and illustratively, the book, a new title from Cambridge University Press, we're very grateful to them for the work they do in this area, presents a considerable number of references to traditional philosophy and, of course, sociology also, from Aristotle to, for example, Rousseau and Kant to Dworkin, who's got to obviously have a mention, not of course forgetting the sociologist Max Weber, and a whole lot more. And of course you will have all your favourite jurisprudential philosophers included here for all of those of you who loved doing jurisprudence for your degree. Now let me conclude by saying this, because this book is an important book, I think, for anybody who likes jurisprudence as I do, because it gives you a refreshing new look at some aspects. But let me conclude by saying that the book has been published as part of the Cambridge University's ASCL studies in comparative law, and the ASCL is American Society for Comparative Law, and it's a leading voice, of course, in the study and analysis of this sometimes controversial subject area. Consequently, the book presents a formidable array of carefully sustained and well thought out, I suggest, arguments in its examination of the key complexities of comparative law, because it isn't a simple subject at all, including its analytical framework, its methodology, and its jurisprudence. And that the last bit, I think, is the most important for anybody who is studying comparative law. My view and that of Elizabeth is it's certainly a groundbreaking study of an area of law that, with increased globalization, becomes ever increasingly important, and it's not going to go away. So I think this is a very suitable book for the 21st century. The date of publication is cited at the end of 2018. Let's just have one last look at the book again. There it is, paperback, not a big book at all. It's quite easy to read once you get into it, but as I say, when you're looking at it, just read through the basic, the main work itself, and ignore all of the footnotes, because the footnotes can distract. I mean, Kelson, this is looking at engaging legal systems epistemology, and it's looking at Hans Kelson, for instance. Kelson being someone that many people do have a certain amount of difficulty understanding, and quite a few of the people that I've seen mentioned here are not necessarily household names, even for the jurisprudent. Anyway, thank you very much to Catherine and everybody who's been involved in this production of this work. Found it a fascinating read, and very grateful to CUP for sending it to us for review. Thank you to all. Bye-bye.